Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Jessica back, Manifest Life Flow, Manifest Heal, Manifest Health is my business. And today we are continuing our discussion as we work through some trauma and loss. As some of you know from the previous video, this is something our family is experiencing right now. It's also something I experienced in the past and didn't handle it that well. And so I'm taking the tools and the ideas that I've learned over the years and applying it now to more successfully navigate what's going on and deal with what's happening. So today we are going to get into the soul aspect. The previous two videos, one was on the body and the effects, and one was on the mind, which has a lot of physical effects. And so today we're going to be talking about the soul, because this is the part that starts to get into, you know, what's really manifesting through our thoughts being hijacked and our body being in a negative space when we're going through trauma or loss. We are not going to get too much into types of the trauma at this point. Right now we're just getting started, and I want you to know that whether this is a loss or a different type of trauma, all of these principles are going to apply. And I hope that you will give yourself some patience and time and go easy and be gracious as you work through some of this stuff. A lot of it is alone, but that doesn't mean you have to feel and be alone. So I encourage you, if you have someone in your life that you can trust, or a way to communicate with others to help process, I really encourage you to do that. Don't do this alone. I absolutely went through so much of mine completely alone. And I thought I was doing everybody else a favor. But the truth was, and this is something you learn as you get into trauma and loss, the shadow aspect of yourself, it wasn't that I didn't want to be a problem or bother people. It's that I really felt kind of already dejected about a lot of things with people in my life, and figured they're not going to give me what I need, so I'm not going to, have that injury occur at all. I'm just going to prevent it by not being transparent. So if you have someone that you can be transparent with and safe with, then I would absolutely utilize that person. And not in a usury way, but, we're meant to be together as people and in community and share and empathize and grow together and change together. So, let that happen as it happens. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the soul and the effects of the trauma and loss and things you can do. And these tools are going to be a little bit different. It's really going to depend on how you hear what I'm saying and process it, and when you get ideas. So I want you to turn your intuition on and listen to yourself, because you are your best doctor sometimes. And one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard, and it's been true in the past few years, it's really hit home. And it's the principle of, when you're doing shadow work, when you're looking at the places you don't want to look at, to remember that the cure is in the wound. And that may not make sense right now to everybody, and it may be kind of difficult to wrap your mind around. But that's okay. Just let it process. So, so the core theme for this is going to be that your soul is not broken from this pain, but your ego may be in panic mode. Okay? And what you can do right now for yourself as an act of self-love and self-care is to listen and pay attention. It's okay if you're upset, you're angry, it's negative, and you're like, I'm supposed to be positive all the time. I'm supposed to have positive thoughts. I'm not supposed to let my vibration get low. But here's the truth. Your ego is attached to some of these emotions that are core and central to you. Anger loves you. Your angry side loves you. It's in defense mode. It's trying to protect you. But there is healing in that. So that's where we find the healing, and we find the medicine and the cure in the wound. What makes us angry lets us know what we can do about it. So First, I want to talk about ego versus soul, because as we're talking about the soul aspects of this, it can become confusing, because we can start to say, "Oh, I'm working on my soul stuff, but I don't know why it's not working the way I thought it was, and it may be ego." So just bear with me. And again, I'm going to start creating some PDFs for this, and they will be on my website. They will be free. I will edit and leave the link in the description or in the comments, and it will always be on my website once I get that finished. So go to manifestheal.com and get subscribed to the emails, because then you'll know, and you'll have a direct link to everything we're doing and whatever happens. New products, new courses, new books, new YouTube videos, any behind the scenes stuff. You'll get that first, okay? Because that's the first thing I do. I get up and I go to work and I think, do I need to do an email today? And what do the people need to hear? So what is your ego versus the soul? And we call this ego panic versus soul grief, okay? And they can be very confusing. You're already, like me probably, suffering from insomnia, and suffering from not taking care of yourself as well as you usually do, forgetting when you eat, forgetting when you need to do something. So just have some peace and calm with yourself and take a deep breath. So your ego is going to be how you're going to personally react to this loss or this trauma, okay? And it's valid. Right now, I'm going to tell you whatever you're thinking and feeling, even if it's anger. It's valid. We can't ignore it. We have to look at it, and we have to say, pull yourself back and say, what about this is making me angry? Some of you might even watch this and be like, it's pretty obvious what made me angry. You're right. You are correct. And we're going to go through these layers, because it's not just that we're angry about what happened or we're angry about what transpired, but we're often angry about how others handled it. We're angry at ourselves for how we handled it. So let's break this down. Your ego, and I know there's teachings out there that are like, oh, you have to suppress, crush, put down the ego. The ego is part of you, and it is what gets you out of bed in the morning. Your ego is your I. And it is always trying to protect you. That's the core function of the ego, is to protect you. But this is where the learning curve comes in. It's protecting you from whatever belief system, values, past history, lessons, and things you've already been through, and your identity. So if you identify as a victim, your ego will defend that. And it will be extremely upset with you, and you will know it, when you try to change that. And it can be really confusing, because you can feel like you're at war with yourself, because you are in some ways. Because your ego is like, nope, remember in childhood, that happened, and you said something, and we got in trouble. No. We aren't going to do that one again. It builds up a record, and it plays off of that. So a healed, strong, wise ego that you are connected to, and you are not masking or hiding from, but you are connected. And I say you all like there's not multiple personalities, but you have multiple aspects. And you know this because you can observe it, because you can tell which part of yourself is saying, thinking, or doing something. So that denotes that there is a separation and an ability to process this information. So, and one of the, I know it's hard. It's really hard, because you grow up and you realize that the best parent, the best friend, the best love your ego experiences is you. And you have to parent yourself. And you have to self-care and self-love. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I wish somebody else would love me enough. But this is part of the lesson of our life, is understanding and accepting that when you are within yourself, it's just you and all these aspects of you, which are connected to God or source, whatever your terminology is. And we're not going to debate terminologies right now. Everybody's got one. That's fine. That's what you resonate with. I promise things change. We grow, we learn, we shift, and we move. So the ego is going to be using that belief system and your conscious thoughts and your identity to navigate the world around you. And so when it hits a conflict and you're like, why did I react like that? That was a little aggressive. or that was a little flippant, or this is not really what I wanted. You know, you got to get in touch with your ego. Hey, why did we react like that? Well, what's going on here? So the difference between the ego and the soul is your essence. And I want to elaborate on that if you will allow and have an open mind. But if you believe that there's an eternal part of you, then your soul has access to that and understands it. Your soul knows why you're here. The soul knows what lessons you're meant to learn. The soul is attached to your intuition, and it is always looking for signs and synchronicities to read the room, read the atmosphere, read what's going on in your life. Well, the ego and the soul get into conflict with each other because the soul is like, listen, I really think that this is coming from a place of pain, and I see intuitively that if we would step into this mode of healing, it would be good. And your ego's like, oh, no, you are not going to change things up on me. I just got comfortable with this trauma. I just got comfortable with this level of victimhood. So we're going to work through that, okay? Forgive yourself. Do not beat yourself up over this. This is something that, number one, is not being taught very much. And what I mean by that is not being taught in a way that it's out front in the world for everyone to consume. Mostly people who come across this channel, other channels, you're looking for it. You listened to your intuition. You thought about asking the questions. And here you are. And not everybody's going to go there. There's not a class like this in school for kids to, as they age, progress through spirituality of that nature. And again, there's a lot of, stuff with spirituality. Everybody's got a different opinion. So let's make this even clearer. I'm going to put some charts up on the screen for you guys to look at, and we're going to look at the difference between emotions and the 5 core soul wounds that typically happen. This is going to help you differentiate what's happening and what you're feeling, because if it's an emotion, then it needs to be observed, and you can talk through it, and you can even journal through it, and you can use different healing tools. If it's a soul wound, guys, we're getting into shadow work. Really heavy shadow work, because your emotions, it's like your emotions are here and your soul wounds are up here. And so when you deal with the soul wounds, it starts to have a reaction to the emotions, because the emotions are the symptom of the soul wound. So what are the emotional aspects of ourself? Well, we get in from the bottom to the top. We have shame and guilt and apathy. We have grief and fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. So it goes up the scale, or wherever you are on the scale. Now, if you're down at anger, you're still closer to love. You're still closer to acceptance and willingness. Anger and pride are like that. They're the boundary line between I could take this down or I can take this up. And I think that's why anger is so easy for so many of us to access, is because it's visceral and it's raw and it's passionate, which is defensive and protecting you, but it's negative because we say words that hurt and we're angry and we yell or we're loud or, things like that. And it's even coming from the place of what traumatized us in the first place, often. And then here we are acting like the person or the situation that traumatized us. And we're supposed to be healing from our trauma, but we're re-traumatizing ourselves. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgive your anger. Love your anger. Say thank you. Thank you for defending me in the only way you knew how. Thank you for trying to break through what was happening and get my attention. And let me know that I don't feel right about this. So we're talking about ourselves and with ourselves. And it's powerful. It's very powerful when you start to acknowledge your emotions and talk to yourself in a way that you would to your very best friend or someone you really loved, okay? Now, the 5 soul wounds are different. They're going to be deep-seated. Usually they come about over a process of time, and it's embedded in our subconscious. And so what happens is we go about our daily life and if you don't know what's in your subconscious, it will come out in your life. And that's the shadow part, the things you don't see. The things you don't see will start to manifest. If you have for example, the first one on the list is a fear of rejection. If you have a fear of rejection and you're not dealing with it, everywhere you go, every conversation you have, you are going to filter it through, I get rejected. No one cares about me or truly loves me. Rejection is right there. It's right there in the back of your mind, right under the surface. You're interpreting everything you hear from that place. And if you sit down and think about it, you can think about, if it's safer for you to think about other people's situations, you can spot it. You can spot the difference. So the 5 soul wounds are rejection, abandonment, humiliation, treason, and good old injustice, which we all are passionately against. So the masks that come off of that, those are how we're presenting ourselves to the world around us to hide this, pretend it's not there. But the fear, or I want to say the core emotional reaction, when it says fear up here, I think the core emotional reaction is the inner part of you, where it can cause depression, where it can cause different things like that. That's where that comes out. So if you're getting rejected, your mask might be, I'm fine, I don't even care. But truly you're in panic mode. So we're going to break these things down within ourselves. And this is where, when I get the PDF done, especially, you guys can print these out and really sit down and say, do I feel rejection? Do I feel abandoned? Have I felt abandonment in the past? And there's a high probability we all have a little bit of all of these, and that is fine. Take that time in those notes to journal, and don't pressure yourself, just because often we stimulate ourselves when we start to write. So if you can't think of something off the top of your head, just say, I feel blank, abandoned, rejected, humiliated, unjustly treated, or lied, betrayed, but I know, and let it finish out and let it flow out. You're honoring the truth that you feel this way, and probably something did happen. But how many things after that were just interpretations that was still happening? Sometimes it's not. A lot of people get angry and say, well, you made me feel guilty, or you made me feel unloved. Okay, you're legit. You legitimately felt that. But it might be because of perspective, and it might be because of core wounds. That doesn't absolve other people. We should be treating each other with love and compassion and fairness. But we got to work through these things, and it's hard and it's painful. And if you can't work through it with somebody, then the boundaries need to be, okay, well, in love and mercy, I hope that everything goes well, but I can't continue in this relationship in its current status. Because you have to keep yourself safe, because some people are toxic and some people are in the healing process too. So you got to recognize where that's at. But don't be hard on yourself or pressure yourself too much to be perfect and right and know from the get-go, because you don't. Everyone is living their life, and everyone is thinking and changing and moving, and something over here affects them and something over here affects you, and you come back together and you don't agree. And it's like, when did you change your mind? Well, we change our minds. So work through that with forgiveness and compassion, but always have self-respect and healthy boundaries. So one of the other notes I have on here, and it hopefully will resonate with many of you, but let's just normalize grief as an absolute experience of the soul, of ourself, of our identity, and not a flaw. Grief is a part of the process. It's kind of shocking. Many of you, if you watch this and you're in this with me and you understand, will know people say some crazy stuff when you're dealing with trauma or loss, and understand it's probably not you. It's them. People will tell you, well, it's good that you've taken this time, but don't you think it's about time you got over this? Don't you think it's about time you moved on from this? Because it's been, and they counted off. That's really rude. That's really dark. Yes, they might be concerned and want you to get healed, but most likely they're just avoiding the issue at hand and why it's still going on. So be mindful and be solid in the understanding that you are allowed to process what you want to, when you want to, and in your own time frame. And if someone else is judging you, that is something that they're going to have to deal with. But do not take that into yourself and digest that as part of who you are. You don't have to do that. Always, I want to recommend, if you have community, if you're going to church, if you have a yoga class, meditation group, if you have a jujitsu class, if you have fishing buddies, if you, any knitting group, if you have friends, if you have community, if there's things that you can do that, aren't making it too stressful on yourself and pulling you away, but also giving you that relief, do it. Do it. Ask somebody to come over or go get coffee, if you can. I'm just encouraging you. You don't have to. It's not on the list of must-dos. But it's absolutely helpful and beneficial to you to seek out community and good people and your tribe and those with similar spirits and emotions and thoughts. And so just, I want to remind you guys in this process as you go through this, there's no pressure for you to fix or, grab the emotions or the belief systems and rip them to shreds and throw the baby out with the bathwater. The best thing you can do is just be the observer. You just observe your own emotions, observe your own thoughts, because when you step back and look at it, it's not going to be from this mean place of judgment. How dare you? It really isn't. I think a lot of people are afraid of shadow work because they think that it involves beating themselves up on a deep, deep level. But the loss of communication going on with teachings about shadow work is some people neglect to tell you that sometimes your shadow, in your shadow, is your greatest self. There's this wonderful part of you that you've hidden and stuffed it away, maybe to protect it, because exposing it when you were a child wasn't safe. Being that person, having that creativity, having that energy, being so vibrant was not safe, and you've forgotten that that's in there, that's buried in the shadow, and the only thing the shadow wants is for you to bring light. Shine the light on it and look at it. It's not a creepy monster. You are not a horrible person. There's a lot in that shadow hiding that is beautiful and wonderful and good. And when you see it, the judgment and the guilt and the shame kind of melts away. It really does. And you realize, I avoided something really good for a very long time, and I caused myself a lot of undue stress, worry, and pain. And we forgive ourselves. We forgive ourselves for doing that. And we keep striving and moving forward with love and honesty and transparency with ourselves, and being the best friend that we could ever ask for right here within ourselves. You know how to be a good friend. So be a good friend to yourself. So that is going to do it for today, Wednesday's video on the soul. I will be doing a video on the spirit for Thursday. And again, we'll just get right into it and start and keep going with this. I'm really enjoying this new series. It's very therapeutic, but and also it makes me feel good to be helping anyone else in any way that I can. And if you are inspired by these things and want to use them, and I've told myself I don't have to be on here teaching about it, but that's something that's just in me to do, and it's something that is part of my purpose and my chosen job here on earth, is to help encourage others and to be honest. And sometimes we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, but then we deal with it. And isn't life great when we are healthy and healed and communicating well and getting along and loving ourselves and then loving each other? And then the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand and have empathy for others. It's like a win-win for me. So I'm totally excited about it. Maybe I should be a little more somber, but I am excited about it because it's healing and it's therapeutic and it's beautiful. So, okay, long story short, I will be back tomorrow with another video. Please go to manifestheal.com if you want to check out any of my grounding jewelry that is healing. I've got my copper bracelet on right now. Keeps me centered, helps me to have a high oxygen, pain reduction, inflammation reduction, helps with detoxing. We have some other stuff on the site. I also have some courses. If you are interested in my Walls versus Boundaries book, this is a really good one to go through when you're dealing with the trauma and the loss. Take it one day at a time. Take it 5 minutes at a time. It is no rush. There is some things you can work through in the book. And we will be back soon, and I will get the PDFs up on the website for free for anybody interested in having these things printed, be printable and written out and in a way that they can digest it easily. And so yeah, I'll check back with you soon. Go to manifestheal.com, get subscribed to my email so you know what's happening when it's happening. All right? So thank you so much for being here. I'm hoping you're having a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.